All right, guys, we are starting Unit 11 today. And our first lesson is talking about factors. What does this have to do with fraction equivalence and ordering? You'll find out, don't worry. Please make sure you write down your test for Unit 11 is on the 15th, okay? Happy Valentine's Day. After. All right. When we're talking about factors, factors are basically the numbers that fit inside of a number. And what I mean by that is if I'm looking at, let's say, the number 16, factors of 16 are what can I multiply where 16 is my answer. The very first and obvious one is 1 times 16 is 16. It's kind of like a fact family that you're making. Another one is 2 times 8 is 16. Another one is 4 times 4 is 16. So the numbers 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16 are factors of 16. An easier way to write this out is sort of like a list. So you would start by writing 16, and I would start with 1, and then I go all the way down. I have to kind of gauge how many numbers I think it's going to be. And if there's some spaces, it's okay. I'll put 16 right here. And then I go, okay, so 1 times 16 is 16. 2 times 8 is 16. Is 3 times something 16? No, I skip it. 4 times 4 is 16. As soon as I hit a double or it's like a 3 and a 4, that means I'm done. There are no more multiples because I just be repeating myself. Okay? I mean factors, sorry, not multiples, factors. So for number 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's asking you to write each number as a product of two factors in two different ways. That means for number 1, it's asking you to write 36 as a product in two different ways. That means it wants you to say 36 equals 6 times 6 and 36 equals 4 times 9. That's two different ways that 36 is a product of these two factors. Same thing for number 2. It wants us to do it for 42. There should be a number that pops in your head immediately. 42 equals 6 times 7. But is there something else? You could do something challenging and say it equals 2 times 21. Or you could do the easy route, which, come on guys, don't, please, but 1 times 42 is correct. But try and push yourself a little. For number 3, the number 50. 50, two numbers that are a factor for this, 5 and 10. Another way that I could get 50, 2 and 25. For 64, number 4. 64, 8 times 8, so 8 is a factor. I can challenge myself. 32 times 2 is also 64. So on 5, 6, 7, and 8, they want you to just list all the factors. So that's what we're going to do up here, just like we did with this guy. So for number 5, it's asking you to list all the factors of 12. So you write the 12, put a little dash. Anytime the number is even, 2 will always be a factor. Always, always, always. Start with 1, and then I go to 12. And then I separate them with commas because 1 times 12 is 12. Then 2 times 6 is 12. And then 3 times 4 is 12. And I'm done. Because whenever they're next to each other, 3 and 4, or 5 and 6, or 7 and 8, that means I'm done. I've hit it. For number 6, it wants me to do it for the number 20. Okay, I always start with 1, and I'll end with 20. And because it is an even number, I'm going to start with 2, and I know that half of 20 is 10. And then I'm going to ask, okay, well, does 3 go into 20? No. 4, yeah. 4 times 5 is 20. And now I'm done. I've got 2 numbers that are back to back. I'm done counting up. Okay, number 7 is wanting all the factors of 28. Always start with 1, always end at 28. It's an even number, so I always go with 2. Now, what is half of 28? 14. Then I have to ask, okay, can 28 be divided into thirds? Sometimes it's an easier way to find out than others. Sometimes you might have to actually divide to figure it out. In this case, I know it doesn't. 4 does go into it. I know that 4 times 7 is 28. Can 5 go in? No. Can 6 go in? Not without any remainders, so I'm done. It's okay if there's a little space in here, that's fine. Okay, last one. 54. So again, I start with 1. I'm going to end with 54. It's an even number, so I have a 2. What is half of 54? That might be hard to do in my head. So I might need an extra sheet of paper here so I can do 54 divided by 2. 2 can go into 5. 2 times 2 is 4. 1, 14. 2 goes into 14, 7. All right, so 2 times 27 is 54. I might have to do the same thing with 3. Will 3 go into 54? It will. And I know it's going to be less than 27, but I might need to do this division again. And if you need to do that, that is okay. It's okay. It will go in 3 times. 3 times 18 is 54. And then the one that we do know, the last one, will 5 go in? No. Will 6 go in? Yes. 6 times 9 is 54. And that's the one that we know the most. But now you're having to explore all the numbers that will fit into it. Okay? So what you're going to do next, your daily Common Core. Same deal. Put your name on it, please. On the back, write each number 2 different ways using multiplication. That is what we just did. That's this, coming up with 2 different ways to represent 36, in this case 24, 64, and 36. There you go, freebie. You're welcome. For this one, it wants all the factors, okay? You find out if they're even, and if not, you don't need a 2. You might need to do some division here, but think about all the multiples that you know. Then you've got some word problems. Read them carefully and answer them as best as you can. And then down here, again, read carefully. You're looking at arrays. Okay, so it says Mr. Hall is making an array to display 16 pictures. For each pair of different factors, there are 2 arrays he can make. How many different arrays can he make? Is the number odd or even? Explain. So what they mean by arrays is basically, it's kind of this weird stuff right here. But honestly, it's just finding this. How many different ways can I do a multiplication? 42, I can do 6 times 7. I can do 2 times 21. I can do 1 times 42. I can do 3 times 14. So I have to come up with all the factors to figure out how many ways. So each one of these, 1 times 42, is one of them. Here's another one. Here's another one. So that's 3 right here that I've listed. So when you're looking at this, it's asking pretty much how many multiplication sentences can you make that will equal 16. And guess what? 16 times 1 and 1 times 16 are 2 different ways. They will look different if you were to draw them out. Okay? You got this. If you don't got this, see me on Monday. Because it's Friday, you don't have homework. When you finish everything, you can move on to practice. If it's easy for you, challenge yourself. Here's a fun little maze of division. I'd like you to do it if you can. When you finish your daily Common Core, you are doing 13 through 38. Okay? Cool. Don't panic. You got this.